We're at the Nürburgring for race 24 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, the final race of their three across this weekend here on the 3.629 kilometre Nürburgring circuit, which features a number of turns left and right, and is quite a challenging circuit for the Formula 3 drivers in terms of finding the opportunity to overtake those 11 turns, 7 of them right-handers, 4 of them left, a smooth and flat surface which is a medium stress on the tyre construction. And there to the right of your picture is Rennie Rossin from the Prema Power team down there with Callum Eilert. Happy birthday, Rennie. It's his birthday today. Alongside me, former Formula 3 driver is Alex Toril, who I think my memory serves, you didn't race for the Prema Power team in Formula 3.
No, as you said, happy birthday to René. Or shall we tell it in Italian?
No, let's not.
Nah, English will be fine. No, I test with them, but I never raced for Prema. But I know René
super guy.
René Rossin pretty well, so yeah, super guy.
Super guy. And his driver, Callum Eilert, is on pole position. There he is. Car number 53, Callum Eilert. I was talking to him in a Formula 3 Q&A session earlier today. He's taken a P5 and a P3 this weekend and puts himself in the perfect position, potentially, to round out the weekend with a race win, going from pole position. But up against him, alongside him, is Lando Norris, who has had an altogether perhaps more successful weekend because he has banked a P1 and a P2 and really cemented his position at the top of the championship over Maximilian Günther, who's had a torrid weekend of it. Jake Hughes celebrated his maiden win in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. It's another one of those drivers that I spoke to in the Q&A session. He goes from P3 on the grid and took that win in race 2. So Jake Hughes will be brimming with confidence, I would like to say, going from P3. Ralph Aron, a good qualifying from Ralph Aron, sees him on P4. Of course, the grid for this race was set in Quali 2, where it's the second fastest lap time, gives you the grid for race number 3. Guan Yu Zhu, another Prema Power team driver. He goes from P5 on the grid, and Guan Yu Zhu has had a P9 and a P14 this weekend, so we'll be hoping for better things from his starting position there. Ferdinand Habsburg in car number 62, the Carlin driver, who's taken 2 P6s, and where does he start on the grid? P6. So it's all been 6s so far for Ferdinand Habsburg. Of course, he would like the result at the end of 33 minutes plus 1 lap to be slightly lower in terms of number than 6. He would like to be a 5, 4, 3, 2 or even a 1. Tadazuke Makino, he goes from P7 for the high-tech GP team. Tadazuke Makino then, who's had a pair of P4s. All been about the pairs, really, hasn't it? Joey Mawson for Van Amersfoort Racing, the Netherlands-based organisation. Joey Mawson then goes from P8 on the grid. And Joey, of course, was on the podium in race 1, taking P3. It was P7 in race 2. As we look at Max Deforney with the big hair, who goes from P9 on the grid and has made his debut in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship this weekend as Max Deforney, and it's been a P11 and a P18 thus far. What can he do from there? As Jayan Daravala then goes from P10 on the grid for the Carlin driver, who's been in the points both times, both races this weekend, a P7 and a P10. Jayan do from P10 on the grid. Next is Harrison Newey, who's Van Amersfoort driver. Harrison Newey then in car number 11. Sorry, car number 17. It's grid position number 11 for Harrison Newey, the Van Amersfoort driver. His race 1 was a P12. He improved 4 places for race 2 and took a P8 come the checkered flag. And Nikita Mazepin for high-tech GP. Focused on the job that he has got to do from P12 on the grid. Didn't finish race 1 and was just outside the points in race 2 with a P11. Sasha Fenestra then It's the wrong photograph. Ignore the photo, but there is Sasha then, another new entrant into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship this weekend, going from P13 on the grid. And Sasha has had 2 non-points finishes so far, 15 and 13. And former championship leader Maximilian Günther, who didn't have a very good weekend at Zandvoort, has had an even lousier weekend here to the Nürburgring, it has to be said. And he is going from P14 on the grid, so some work to do for Maximilian Günther to improve on his P13 and P12 that he's achieved in the 2 races so far. In Zandvoort, he had a couple of podiums, but expecting wins aplenty from Maxi Günther, and it hasn't really happened. He's had some 4 wins across the season so far, and as I said, led the championship, but is now P2 in the championship on 302 points, whereas Lando Norris has banked 338. So it's a significant margin between P1 and P2. Joel Eriksson is P3 in the championship, and Callum Ilott, the man that starts this race on pole position, is P4 in the Drivers' Championship. We've got, after this race, another 6 to come before the championship reaches its conclusion. 3 of them at the Red Bull Ring, Spielberg in Austria, and then, of course, 3 of them at the grand finale at Hockenheim. Mick Schumacher goes from P20 on the grid. Big work to do for the Mick Schumacher car, number 25. Had a podium this year, took up P3 in Monza, but hasn't replicated that form yet. See what he can do today as cars are off on their formation lap. Well, the weather forecasters were true to their word to a point, in that it has been dry all day, Alex, but it hasn't been the sunshine really that we expected. There's been cloud cover all day, which has meant the temperature hasn't risen very much, has it?
No, you're absolutely right. We were talking yesterday that today should be a full sunny day. It's been dry, this for sure, but the sun was twice there, but not really shining, not shining really strong. So as you said, the temperature is around 14 degrees. Air temperature in the racetrack around 16, 17 degrees. So it's pretty cold situation at the moment.
Here's the grid then. Ilott, Norris, Hughes, Aron, Zhu, Habsburg, Makino, Mawson, then it's Stefani and Darovala, who occupy the first 5 rows of the grid before we find Newey, Mazepan, Fenestra, Günther, Piquet, Eriksson, Sato, Beckman, Vadjanathan, and Mick Schumacher rounding out the next 5 rows before we find Kayvan Andres and Petru Florescu. Petru Florescu, another one of the new entrants into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship here at the Nürburgring. So the curbs have taken a bashing this weekend, that's for sure, not least of which during the DTM race that was on just before the FIA Formula 3 European Championship Race 3. It really was quite a physical race. 33 minutes plus 1 lap, as they all are, the races for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And the cars making the way towards the grid once again now. They'll park up in their grid boxes, and once they do that, we will await the green flag from the marshal at the rear of the pack. They're trying to generate as much temperature as they can by spinning up those tyres and also braking very hard. And the rims that are employed on these Formula 3 cars designed to allow as much of the heat as possible that's generated from the brakes into the rubber of the tyre.
Exactly, this is the procedure usually. Not only this zigzag situation, you also need to use the brake, use the accelerator to warm up the tires.
So all the warm-up efforts that Ilott and Norris have done on the front row of the grid, those are the ones that have to sit at the front of the grid. As there is the birthday boy, as we zoom in on him, the bespectacled René Rossin. Happy birthday, René. Right, green flag from the marshal at the rear means the start sequence can get underway. We have 5 red lights. When the lights are out, let's go racing. Lando Norris with a good start. Callum Ilott with a good start as well. Callum Ilott will try and protect that inside line going into turn number 1. And is able to do so as the rest of the cars come through then. Oh, and there's contact from P6 and 7 on the grid. 2 cars out in the runoff area. as the rest of the cars make their way through turns 2 and 3 now.
Looks for me like Ferdinand Habsburg collect
Guan Yu Zhu. So Guan Yu Zhu is out, and that car is not going to be recovered from there, and big damage on the front of that car.
So safety car.
Inevitable.
No.
That's
rough around front wing, I think.
Yeah, it's a big part of the front wing, isn't it?
No,
so
it's not rough around because it has this full wing. You see now a little bit of traffic due to the safety car. So
whose wing was it? There. I think that's Makino.
Could be.
I think, but we'll pick that up in a moment. But safety car has been deployed then before even one lap is completed, and there is a good call by you, because you were exactly right. It was the Carlin driver Ferdinand Habsburg who's out. So too is Guan Yu Zhu, and a safety car and a medical car on its way to there is the Ferdinand Habsburg car being lifted out of the way. Let's see it again. So good start from Callum Ilott. Got the car going really well.
Now we need to look at the inside line from Ferdinand Habsburg.
Everyone getting away well, to be fair.
Yeah.
So all jostling, weren't they?
I think it brake a little bit too late, locked the inside.
Right.
And then he ran
Perhaps
out
see it
of,
better from
was
here.
in the inside, so he ran out of place.
So there he is at Habsburg, we can see, and yeah, he locked up, didn't he, and then made contact with the Guan Yu Zhu car. Now, of course, at that point, the tyres are colder, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, he had no place where to go. He should have braken a little bit earlier, but can happen. So start incident. I think it's the first start incident we've seen in the whole weekend.
Lifted the car with Guan Yu Zhu in it.
Usually I've never seen that. He says it's okay. Where are you taking me?
Well, I am absolutely amazed. I didn't think that was allowed to happen.
I don't think so. I mean, if the car drops now, it's 1.5 meters. Now we see, yeah, it's Makino. It's Makino front wing, who is off now.
Well, during the safety car phase, that debris will most likely have been cleared up.
Yeah, but Makino will have to go in and change to a new wing.
Yeah, of course.
It's been already. No, it's Mawson. It's been in the pit. It's Joey Mawson who's been in the pit. Makino still out.
So the Ferdinand Habsburg car is lifted and taken away. And the safety car continues to lead the cars around. The clock continues to tick down, of course. 33 minutes plus 1 lap. Here we can see it again. The lock-up from Ferdinand Habsburg. And was not able to turn in and therefore made contact with the Guan Yu Zhu car. Both of them ending up in the gravel trap. So Guan Yu Zhu, in fairness, was really innocent bystander there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And
he was a passenger of the situation. He could not do much. And at this point, you cannot see anything. It's in the dead point of view.
passenger as well now.
Yeah.
And Ferdinand Habsburg overseeing the recovery of his car, which will make its way back to the Carlin engineers with a bit of work to be done before that can appear next at the Red Bull Ring, and Ferdinand Habsburg walks away really rather disappointed, and Guan Yu Zhu at last has got his feet on the ground, almost. So
safety car in this lap.
Absolutely, lights are out in the safety car. So Callum Ilott will control the pace of the restart, and Lando Norris and Jake Hughes will be trying to anticipate when Callum Ilott is going to give it a footfall so that they can get the best possible restart as well.
Don't know why Makino didn't went in to change the wheel. It's now relaunched the race.
So Ilott then does get the race going once again. Cars all make their way through the NGK chicane. It's Callum Eilert there in the number 53 car around the Coca-Cola turn. Lando Norris right on him, though.
And Makino already losing positions.
Well, inevitably, because part of his front wing is missing. So Eilert, Norris, Hughes, Aaron. Eilert could be under pressure going into turn number 1. Here comes Lando Norris. He looks to the inside, but that line is blocked by Callum Eilert. He rotates the car, turns it around, but Callum Eilert makes his car as wide as possible to try and prevent Lando Norris from coming around the outside. Jake Hughes is just waiting to pick up the pieces between the two that are fighting ahead of him in P1 and P2. Callum Eilert and Lando Norris. As the rest of the cars make their way through, including the last man running, which is Pedro Floresco. Lando Norris goes very, very wide. Callum Eilert could lose out on P2 here as well, because here comes Jake Hughes. So Lando Norris was off the track, but was he put into that position potentially by Callum Eilert? We didn't actually see it. So it's a change at P1. It's Lando Norris leading now from Callum Eilert, and P3 is Jake Hughes. Hopefully we'll see a replay of that overtake from Lando Norris, but he finds himself in the lead right now. So making the way down behind the paddock on the back straight of this Nürburgring circuit. Maximilian Günther having a go here, but is battling hard with the car of Harrison Newey, as well as Tadazuki Makino, who's got half his front wing missing. So Maximilian Günther really boxed in there now, and alongside Harrison Newey, he's going to have the inside line, and surely, oh no, he has to yield, because Harrison Newey is able to put the power down. Big opportunity there from Jake Hughes. If he can carry that momentum around, he does, and finds himself in P2. Callum Eilert relegated to P3, and here comes Ralph Aron in the number 7 car. And not only Ralph Aron, right behind him is Jayan Daruvala, as Ralph Aron now runs Callum wide, and Ralph Aron overtakes Callum Eilert. And here comes Jayan Daruvala, also thinking that he's got an opportunity here. So Callum Eilert losing a load of places. So for the moment, he's been able to, hopefully here we can see the overtake from Lando Norris. And there was the Jake Hughes, and that was a really good overtake through turn 1, because he carried a lot of speed into turn 1 and had to brake at the conclusion of the start-finish straight. Just see the Mick Schumacher car there trying to defend, as in now does come Tadazuki Makino to have that front nose replaced. Lando Norris leading from Jake Hughes, then it's then it is Ralph Aron, then it is Callum Eilert, and here comes Mick Schumacher then, fighting hard with the car of Max Deforny, and trying around the outside of Max Deforny now. There's contact between Deforny and Mick Schumacher. They're fighting over the final points-paying position at the moment. Right.
We have car number 10 and 27 under investigation, the pit speeding during the formation laps. That's Daruvala, and car number 10 is Florian Florescu, Petro Florescu. So we'll see if they get some kind of penalty.
Harrison Newey is running in P6. Behind him is Maximilian Günther in P7. There's Joel Eriksson, Nikita Mazepin, and Mick Schumacher then rounding out the points-paying positions at the moment. Petro Florescu then, as you say, in car number 10, who's behind Joey Mawson. Joey Mawson, of course, has already been in the wars a bit, but has had some success this weekend as well. You said that Mawson was in the pit lane, wasn't he?
Yeah, Mawson was in the pit lane just as the safety car came out, so I don't know if he also had some damage on the wing or maybe flat tire. Not so sure about. Could not see anything from the start, but definitely it's been a reason. Okay, there's been an accident between car number 11, that's Ralph Aron, and car number 96. So it's noted by the stewards.
Well, car number 11 actually is Tadazuki Makino, isn't it?
Excuse me.
And we saw that, didn't we?
Still have that Ralph Aron in my mind.
Yeah, of course.
Since the beginning, thought it was Ralph Aron, sticking in my mind. Yeah, Tadazuki Makino and Joey Mawson, so probably Makino lost his win and Mawson got a puncture
or something. Yeah. Okay, well, that will explain why he was in the pit lane then. Well, the Norris Hughes are on 1, 2, 3, are really breaking away from Callum Eilert, but Jan Daruvala doesn't seem to be able to get on terms with Callum Eilert yet either. So Callum seems relatively comfortable in that P4 position, but in the early stages after that safety car intervention, Callum lost a huge number of places. There's Maximilian Günther then. He was up to P7. Ahead of him is Harry Newey. And behind Maximilian Günther is Joel Eriksson. So around the Coca-Cola turn they go with just under 22 minutes plus 1 lap remaining in this race. The race that has already had one safety car. Hope that there is no more of them. So through turn number 1 they go. And there is Maximilian Günther trying to reel in that Harrison Newey car. So Maximilian Günther being run by the Prema Power team. That all pink liveried car ahead of him is the number 17 machine of Van Amersfoort's Harrison Newey, who is running in P6. Jayan Daruvala, of course, is some way up the road, some 3 seconds up the road from Harrison Newey. And Maximilian Günther, P2 in the championship. Harrison Newey, P9 in the Drivers' Championship. And there's the margin between the two of them. Both Mercedes-Benz powered, a mix of Mercedes-Benz and VW power across the FIA Formula 3 European Championship power plants. There, Maximilian Günther then around the kink that is turn 8, heading up towards the NGK chicane as Jayan Daruvala gets just a little bit closer now to Callum Eilert in P4. Jayan Daruvala running in P5, of course, and ahead of Eilert and Daruvala, Aron, Hughes and Norris leading the race. Lando Norris crossing the timing line now, 1.1 seconds ahead of Jake Hughes, who celebrated his race 2 win, his maiden win in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. So Callum Eilert breaks then, turns into turn 1. Jayan Daruvala at the moment got nothing to take to him, and equally at the moment Harrison Newey is able to show Maximilian Günther a clean pair of heels too, and equally behind Maximilian Günther, Joel Eriksson not quite able to reel him in quite yet, but still got 20 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. An awful lot can happen between now and then, and Nikita Mazepin is on the back of that little quartet of cars running in P9, some distance before we see David Beckman, who's in the final points-paying positions, just ahead of Max Deforny, and behind him is Mick Schumacher. So Mick Schumacher running in P12 at the moment. So there is the number 15 car of Deforny then, chasing down David Beckman. So VW power versus Mercedes-Benz power. Through turn 8, the kink that's taken absolutely flat, heading towards the chicane now. Heavy braking from Beckman. Always find it amazing just how much of the sausage curb that these Formula 3 cars do take. Around the final turn, that's a great shot as we see the cars around that right-hander and heading downhill in the start-finish straight, and the hill increases in terms of its intensity the closer you get to turn number 1.
Yeah, but definitely it's nothing decided yet in the front. And we see now...
Now that's Fenestra on the inside of Mick Schumacher. Clean, easy and simple, it would appear.
As I was saying, it's nothing decided in the top 3, because all the drivers split by 1 second and all lapping in the same lap time. But we already saw this morning how much the tires of Jake Hughes drop at the end of the race that allowed Lando Norris to come close.
Yes, he did.
So we still might have opportunities to see overtaking maneuver towards the end of the race. Like I said, the difference between the drivers is nothing. They are lapping the same sector time, same lap times.
Yeah, the top 3 are all in the 1:22.0s, aren't we? It's 3/10 slower from Callum Eilert down, which proves the point that the top 3 are quicker than Callum, aren't they? Whether there's just something not quite right with the setup of the Callum Eilert car, but he was overtaken very, very early on in the once the race resumed after the safety car was deployed in at the start of the race for the incident between Guan Yu Zhu and Ferdinand Habsburg. So Mick Schumacher then is P12. Beckman in the final points place in P10. Deforney is ahead of Schumacher, of course, P11. Fenestra now P12, and Schumacher is P13, of course, because we saw the Fenestra overtake. And tell you what, Pedro Piquet is looking at the gearbox of Mick Schumacher now. Here comes Pedro Piquet. So Mick Schumacher then, his debut season in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. There's Callum Ilott in P4, and at the moment is keeping himself ahead of Jehan Daruvala. There's only 6/10 between the two of them, though. So Jehan Daruvala then in the number 27 car, which is another one of the Carlin cars. There's Lando Norris, our race leader, who's not breaking away a huge amount over Jake Hughes. It's 1.3 seconds, isn't it? And as you say, there's then a couple of seconds before we get to Callum Ilott behind Ralph Aron, who is running in P3. So Norris to Hughes, 1.4. Then to Aron, it's 2.6. To Ilott, it's 4.8. There is Schumacher and Pedro Piquet right behind him.
Yeah, and Lando Norris lapped a little bit faster in the last lap, opening the gap from 1.1 to 1.4 seconds, but as we said, it's nothing really, it's not a big difference. And Daruvala getting really close to Callum Ilott.
Yes, Daruvala has taken another 10th out of Callum Ilott now. Carlin versus Prema battle between these two, which is P4 and P5. So Callum Ilott, who's really had the weekend that he would have liked necessarily. One podium, but here we can see some super slow-mos. Race leader Lando Norris then through the chicane. Just behind him is Jake Hughes, but Lando Norris untroubled by Jake Hughes at the moment. However, will that change come the end of the race? Well, we will see. We're into the sort of second half of the race now, with 15 minutes on the clock, and it's 33 plus 1 lap, the race duration. So Ilott then, and the start-finish straight, begins to consider where to turn in for turn number 1, but he's not really troubled by Jehan Daruvala in terms of having to defend the line too much. He can take the preference route around turn number 1, 2, and 3 as well, as Jehan Daruvala doing everything he can to try and get on terms with him, but it's 100ths and tenths that he's taken out of his time. It's not significant enough, is it, with the way things look at the moment, but still, as Alex has said alongside me, plenty of time to come in this race. Harrison Newey, Maximilian Gunter, Joel Eriksson, and then Nikita Mazepin before we see Deforney, Beckman and Fenestra, all ahead of Mick Schumacher, and also ahead of Mick Schumacher now is Joey Mawson. There is the Mick Schumacher car number 25. So that in replay, and now that was Piquet. He's had a torrid weekend as well, and Pedro Piquet then getting tagged by Mick Schumacher, and that was enough to allow Joey Mawson to go through, wasn't it? So, as I say, Piquet has had a rotten weekend of it, and Schumacher now relegated further down the order than he would like to be, and in fairness, into the clutches now of Marino Sato in the number 33 machine. This is David Beckman and Fenestra. Great shot, high shot of the turn number 1, 2, and 3, almost in one camera shot there. Race leader Lando Norris, Jake Hughes, P2, and Ralph Aron, P3. Then it is Callum Ilott and Jehan Daruvala. And they're all very, very equally spaced out here, aren't they?
Yeah, it's only Lando just a little bit farther away from Jake Hughes. but all split by a second. All the drivers split by 1 second, more or less. So nothing is decided yet.
No, but you have to say you don't. I mean, I think we've seen one mistake from Lando Norris this weekend.
Yeah, he went on the first race wide. A little bit on the AstroTurf, had some wheel spin, and yeah, but might be not only a mistake, might be just a drop of the tires, or and we see now the incident between Mick Schumacher and Fenestra is noted by the stewards.
And also the incident between Mick Schumacher and Pedro Piquet that we saw. Well, Harrison by Maximilian Günther at the moment. Harry looking pretty comfortable out there in P6 with Maximilian Günther in P7. Joel Eriksson is P8, then it's Nikita Mazepin, and Max Stefani is P10. So there is Maximilian Günther, and there's the car of Joel Eriksson. Been in the points in both races, a P10 and a P9 in the two races previous to this one. The race that is being led by Lando Norris, who seems to be on course to add another win, plus that P2 position across this weekend, which really does put him in a very commanding position in the Drivers' Championship. Good showing from Ralph Aron. He took a P14 and a P5, so this race 3, which is the grid is set from the second fastest time of quali, really playing into the hands of Ralph Aron, who did a good job right at the start of the race. And here in super slow-mo replay, just attacking the curbs, but keeping off the sausages there, and that's really interesting to watch Lando at work here, because when you told me the absolute perfect line through the chicane is to almost just kiss that yellow part, and in truth, Lando just nails it, or seems to nail it every time exactly right, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is the best line possible when we see...
Well, that's the returning Pedro Piquet, having been punted by Mick Schumacher, and Piquet under some pressure from the number 21 car of Amaya Jennifer. And now it's P18 and P19 for those two, with Makino running in P20. Of course, we've lost Guan Yu Zhu and Ferdinand Habsburg into the final 10 minutes of the third race for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship here at the Nürburgring. Maximilian Günther then in P7. Sort of stuck in that sandwich, really, between... it was a big avoidance from Sasha Fenestra, battling there with the number 55 car of...
like the Kusen.
Of Beckman. And Fenestra... there he is in the number 37 car. New into the FIA Formula 3 Championship for this weekend, and comes Joey Mawson, who's currently running P13, looks to the inside of the number 55 car. So Joey Mawson came into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, of course, as the ADAC F4 champion, elevated up into this fine single-seater category with the Van Amersfoort Racing team, with which he enjoyed so much success in the Formula 4 Championship. So the VAR liveried car of Joey Mawson then, number 96, P13. Ahead of him is David Beckman into the final 8.5 minutes, plus one lap of this race. And dry conditions here at the Nürburgring. Far from what they had for race number, well, for their qualifying for race one, and also for qualifying for races 2 and 3. The qualifying taking place very much in wet conditions. Norris leading from 1.6 seconds over Hughes, Aron, then it's Eilert, Darvala, then it's Nui, Günther, Eriksson, Mazepin, and Max Stefani is in the final points place at the moment, as they cross the start-finish line once again. and head into turn number 1. So Joey Mawson doing everything he can to try and get on terms with Beckman. It's not to be at the moment. And of course, what that is doing is allowing Fenestra to get up the road and try and chase down another newcomer to the FIA Formula 3 European Championship who's running ahead of him, and that is Max De Forny. But the margin between De Forny and Fenestra is 4.1 seconds. So there, the number 55 car of Beckman and Joey Mawson. I mean, it's really, really difficult in these super single-seaters just to find that margin of difference to allow you to get close. And once you have got close, overtaking is so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. This is what we saw already this morning. You can come close. You can get the gap close and go just right behind the car in front. But as soon as you, with these Formula 3 cars, with these high downforce cars, as soon as you get close, you start to lose grip. You start to lose the downforce of the car.
And that's because you're in that turbulent air that's coming off the back of the car that you're chasing.
And you need, and you are like you're in the slipstream of the car in the front, and then you need to really somehow undercut the corner or switch off the corner so you can really get the air and the grip into the car.
Well, 1.4 seconds the margin now between Lando Norris and Jake Hughes. Now, the point that Alex made earlier was that we saw with Jake Hughes that actually come the final stages of the race, dependent upon how you've looked after the tyres, it is just possible for you to come closer. It's all very well being able to come closer. You've got to try and find a way past as well. It was 1.4 seconds last time round between Norris and Hughes, as out goes Nikita Mazepin. And that was big avoidance there, wasn't it? Well, that was very good avoidance from
Max De Forny.
Yeah. I'd like to see that in replay. Sorry, what I was saying about the margin, Hughes has taken another 10th out of Lando Norris, but you get the impression that Lando is probably just, look at that, right on the grass. Did quite a few meters on the grass as well.
Yeah. And it's still a little bit slippery, so it's too easy. It's really easy that you run on the grass to lose the car. And we see Nikita Mazepin losing the car at the entry of what's so-called back straight. And then when he rejoined, actually, that was
bad awareness, wasn't it?
That was not a good way to rejoin the racetrack, crossing all the way from the right to the left.
Can I interrupt you?
From the left to the right, excuse me.
Because Lando Norris and Callum Ilott, you'll recall at turn 4 after the safety car restart, that is going to be investigated after the race.
Okay.
So that will be looked at. So Norris then leading, and he rounds the final turn, and it was 1.3 seconds last time around. For my money, Jake Hughes is getting, well, he's getting left behind a bit now, and in fairness, Lando has taken 2 tenths. He's gone 2 tenths quicker, so back to what I said, he just seems to be managing this at the front, doesn't he? And just keeping that nicely, you know, 1.5 seconds between himself and Jake Hughes. They're both broken away a little bit from Ralph Aron. Yeah,
Ralph Aron lost a little bit of pace in the last laps, and like you said, looks like Lando Norris is controlling really well the pace in the front, and making denying the possibility that Jake Hughes can come close to him and even try to have a chance to pass him. We know the gap now went a little bit closer, but as you said, I think it's Lando Norris controlling perfectly the race.
I think so.
Perfectly controlling the pace. And
well, the situation we saw a few moments ago with Nikita Mazepin is going to be under investigation for unsafe rejoining. That was just being aware of who's around you, wasn't it? Just completely unaware of the fact that the De Forny car was there and had to take to the grass to avoid. Final 3 minutes plus 1 lap then to come in this FIA Formula 3 European Championship race. There's our race leader, Lando Norris, who's been relatively untroubled once he managed to find his way past the car of Callum Eilert, which is currently running P4. It's Norris, Hughes are on. Then it is Callum Eilert, then Gian Duravala, who is in P4. So Lando Norris then, as he's done for lap after lap after lap, has just nailed every apex, done it all perfectly correctly. The Carlin team have given him the car with which to do so, and he is driving it absolutely perfectly, isn't he? 1.3 seconds between Norris and Hughes. It's just a comfortable position to be in, and, well, Lando Norris giving us a masterclass, really, Alex, in terms of car and driver in perfect harmony and how to get the best out of not only the car, but also the Nürburgring circuit as well. He's really taken to it and is getting everything out of it very, very well indeed. So Lando Norris leading the race by 1.3 seconds over Jake Hughes, Ralph Aron, Callum Eilert, Gian Duravala, Harrison Newey, Maximilian Gunter, Joel Eriksson, Max Defuni, Nikita Mazepin is rounding out the top 10 at the moment. So the Carlin car of the Glastonbury lad, Lando Norris, crosses the timing line, and just another couple of tenths been taken out by Jake Hughes on Lando Norris, but I suspect it's merely Lando almost playing with the gap between the two of them. And you can see now it's very visible how those two have broken away from Ralph Aron and Callum Eilert. Aron and Eilert remain 1.9 seconds apart. Jake Hughes now getting visibly closer, but you know, we've made this point, and we've made this point today as well, that it's all very well getting closer, isn't it? And running in that turbulent air off the car in front of you to try and find a way past is, oh my goodness me, that is the number 55 car of David Beckman, who's lost his nose. And Joey Mawson,
who lost the nose.
Yes, you're right, it's Joey Mawson.
Clipping David Beckman, no, not only the nose.
No.
It's a little bit more than the nose damage.
Oh, what a shame.
Have to stop the car and retire. That will cause yellow flag probably. Oh, it's stopping a good point.
So there is Joey Mawson on the inside.
I think David Beckman didn't see him coming into the inside.
Well, in fairness, Mawson was jumping over the curb at that point as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What a great shame. So Mawson then has to retire the car, and does so hopefully into a position where we won't necessarily need a safety car. There are 2 laps remaining. That entire front wing is sitting on the track, though, isn't it?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see information. It's debris on turn 1. So let's hope no driver runs over that. It's like a knife.
Yeah, quite. So Lando Norris then. And Jake Hughes, P1, P2. And Jake Hughes, 1.3 seconds behind the race leader. With 2 laps remaining in this FIA Formula 3 European Championship, race 3 of the weekend, which means there are 6 races remaining after this one in the championship for 2017. So from the chicane, you can see now Hughes really is getting closer to Lando Norris, but it's all to no avail, I fear, because he will start his last lap now, Lando Norris. And sure enough, he's taken 5 tenths out. And here comes Jake Hughes, but nothing anywhere close enough. And the drivers all avoid that wing that sits there on the exit of turn number 1. And we're on to the final lap, and barring any disaster, it should be the second win of the weekend for Lando Norris. With Jake Hughes, who's also had a very good weekend. He'll have taken 2 P2s and a win from his Nürburgring weekend. So Lando with the remainder of this lap to do as he makes his way down to the back straight now. The Carlin driver, who once again cannot fail to impress those that look upon him. His driving talent is extraordinary. Jake Hughes really does close up as they get towards the chicane, but it's going to not be enough, that's for sure, because Lando Norris has the remainder of the Coca-Cola turn before he takes win number 2 of the weekend and adds to his incredible tally in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Lando Norris wins from Jake Hughes, and Ralph Aron takes P3 ahead of Callum Ilott, who banks a P4, Jean Daravala with P5, and they're all some distance away from the rest of the pack, which will be led home by Harrison Newey, who takes his best result of the weekend, a P6, and Maximilian Gunter 2, his best of the weekend, P7, Joel Eriksson, P8. Then it's Deforney and Nikita Mazepin. Fenestra finishes P11. So Nikita Mazepin, the last of the points drivers, and celebrations down there. Not convinced I've seen Trevor Carlin this weekend.
I haven't seen it neither. So.
But there we are, Lando Norris then. He takes yet another win. So the FIA Formula 3 European Championship done and dusted for this weekend at the Nürburgring. The incident between cars number 96 and 55 will be investigated after the race.
So another fantastic win from Lando Norris. So 2 P1s and 1 P2, as Dave was saying. Getting now some debris on the track. Trying to get as much dirt and weight as possible into the car, just in case. It's not a big help, but in case some ground, we see Callum Ilott doing the same, as well as Ralph Aron. When we say now the sum up of our race result, we have Lando Norris, followed by Jake Hughes, 3rd position for Ralph Aron, Callum Ilott, Daravala, Newey, Gunter, Eriksson, Deforne, and Nikita Mazepin closing the top 10. And then position 11, we have Sasha Fenestra, Mick Schumacher on P12, Marino Sato P12, Piquet, Andre Beckman, Florescu, Banalian, Makino, Joey Motion closing P20. Out of the race with the star incidents, Guan Yu Sun and Ferdinand Habsburg. Top 3 drivers coming to the podium. On our screen, Lando Norris putting steering on the car and celebrating his victory. Twice, second time for him this weekend. He was so fast. Carlin didn't even the team didn't even have the time to arrive. Also good job from Ralph Aron.
In the Drivers' Championship then, look at that, 381 points, over 308 now.
Yeah, followed Joel Eriksson, and as we were talking, Maxi Gunter lost a lot of points and a lot of gap this weekend compared to Lando Norris, so it's getting harder and harder for him to get the championship. But I think we still have 2 races. It's Red Bull Ring and Hockenheim. So for sure we'll still see some action, 6 races to go, so everything can happen.
You're absolutely right, but when you begin relying, Alex, on the fact that he needs other drivers to fall over now, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Then it's hard, then it's more and more pressure on you.
You know, you do the best job that you can, but you need those that are around you in terms of the championship hall to have a rotten weekend, don't you? And in fairness, Maximilian Gunter has had a couple of, well, I say a couple of bad weekends. I mean, he took 2 P3s at Zandvoort, but I suppose the P7 in the middle of it is what's clouding my judgment really with Maximilian Gunter at Zandvoort, and then come here this weekend, P13, P12 in race 1 and race 2. It's just not enough, is it?
No, it's not enough. You need to bank more points and make closer, but then the position will make the difference. So hard for Maxi Gunter at the moment, but I think it's nothing lost. If you have a couple of DNF, can everything play again towards you? So it's nothing decided. We need to keep the head up, like we would say, keep thinking and fighting for the champion, because it's, as we said, nothing decided. See now the slow-mo from Ralph Aron getting P3.
Good result, as you said, for Ralph Aron, isn't it? Jake Hughes, he's had a good weekend here. He's taken a win, and he's taken 2 P2s for the high-tech GP driver, Jake Hughes. What can you say about Lando Norris? Other than he is extraordinarily quick and extraordinarily talented, and he takes another win.
I mean, he showed a great performance in the wet, in the dry, in both situations, so not really much to add. Times and results are talking for him.
Yes. You can see why he is so highly thought of by McLaren, can't you? You know, a real talented prospect there in Lando Norris. We await the podium, where the drivers are being hustled up to right now. And podium ceremony for the final time in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship here at the Nürburgring. We're off to the Red Bull Ring, which is quite a different circuit, isn't it? Yeah, it's undulating.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite circuits. A lot of big uphill after corner 1. A lot of fast corners, especially for this Formula 3 car. It's really nice to drive there. I really enjoyed when I drove the Formula 3 there.
Well, the sounds of Peter Reichardt bringing the drivers out onto the podium, and to the top step of the podium goes one Mr. Lando Norris. He sounded a little bit like you then.
You.
Jake Hughes then. And here comes Ralph Aron then to take the P3 place on the podium. National anthem to play out for Lando Norris then.
An Lando Norris, an Jake Hughes und Ralph Aron. Und jetzt gibt's Nachwuchs im Trophäenschrank von Lando Norris, überreicht von Wilfried.
So the anthem plays out, and Lando Norris is presented with yet another race winner's trophy, and holds it aloft for his Carlin teammates and Carlin engineers down there. Hankook's racefield engineer then making the trophy presentation to Carlin. There is Jake Hughes. He'll be pleased with his efforts across this weekend for sure. And Ralph Aron then receives his trophy.
So nice to hear Richard, Peter Reichardt doing the podium in German. So picture time.
Yes, all posed for the photographs in the in front of the new LED backdrop to the podium here at the Nürburgring.
I want a podium like this.
Well,
Looks nice.
get your act together and win a race here at the Nürburgring. You've
Yeah,
done that a few times,
it's only here in the Nürburgring, and will be from now on. This is my big question. Looks really good.
Yeah, it does look good. Right, oh, look at this. Lando has been called out by everybody, look. Getting absolutely mullered. And I don't know how much good that's doing, that new LED screen. Do you know what I mean?
I guess it's champagne proof.
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? Absolutely got to be. So good celebrations up there on the podium then, and Lando Norris at last. Done and dusted then. And until the Red Bull Ring, which is up next for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, 23rd and 24th of September for the next 3 races. Look, Norris just doesn't give up, doesn't he? Hasn't got a hope there, has he? That race, well and truly, he was beaten. Well, that was great to see. Ralph Aron certainly got the break on everyone there, didn't he? Great heli shot of this fantastic circuit in the Eifel region of Germany. So there we have it. Here are the highlights from Alex and from myself. Make sure you join us at Red Bull Ring for the next round of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Here come the highlights. Bye-bye.